Welcome to Freedom Cast, a podcast dedicated to interviewing star icons and entrepreneurs who have encouraged others to become more healthy and active. My name is Ashton, and it's my pleasure to host you as we take another trip through the fitness industry. It's entertaining and informative, and I hope it makes fitness more exciting and special to you in your own fitness journey. Freedom Cast is supported by Freedom Fitness Equipment in Charlotte, North Carolina. Freedom Fitness Equipment serves the health and fitness community nationwide, from free weights and strength equipment for home gyms and studios to cardio and conditioning equipment for commercial spaces. Check them out at freedomfitnessequipment.com. Let's get rolling with today's show. Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on, Beth. This is Beth Feraco. Did I say the last name right?
You did, yeah.
Fantastic. She is a health and nutrition coach. She's got a killer background, and she runs in the same circles as we were just talking about earlier as a lot of other people that I love and respect who are in the evidence-based, science-backed strength training and health community. So welcome, Beth. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Actually, on that topic, can you give people a little bit, just a synopsis on your background and how you even got into the nutrition space specifically?
Yeah, I'm certified in nutrition, personal trainer, and I also have my certified functional strength coach cert from Mike Boyle.
Nice.
And also I'm health mindset certification, or I'm a mindset coach from Casey Jo Orvatis, her mindset cert. So I figured I needed to get that. I swear, mindset to me is more than any of it, really. You can tell someone, what to do, but the mind is the issue usually.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was your particular journey getting to this point? What made you decide, hey, I just really want to be a nutrition coach?
So for me, it started when I quit drinking. So I've been sober for almost 7 years.
Wow.
And really, it all started there. I started running. Long story short, I'll just give you a little bit of background.
Yeah.
I decided I needed to quit drinking. It was just intense, bad, AA was right down the street from my house. So 7 a.m. was the meetings. And I met a girl, Allison, who was having boot camp stuff at 5:30 in the morning. And it was, end of August. So it was warm out still, light out. So I'd meet her at 5:30. We'd do some running, boot camp outside stuff. And then I'd go to my AA meeting at 7. So I did that for a while. She ended up getting a personal training job at a gym. So we no longer could work out together. A gym opened up down the street from me, literally a block away.
Wow.
So I decided to go there, and I started taking classes at 6 a.m. and then 7 a.m. I'd go to my meeting. They were at the time, a few months after I was working there, looking for a front desk person. So I'm like, oh, that'd be perfect. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. My son was just about to go to preschool. So I'm like, this is perfect to do, a couple hours a day. So I started doing that. And then I was asked by the owner, who's now my really good friend and kind of like the COO of my business now, which is interesting. That's a whole other story. But he was like, I feel like you'd be a really good personal trainer. Do you have any interest in coaching? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. So I started interning there. And from going to the gym, I became a lot of friends with the women there. We were all kind of in the same journey. I was still trying to figure out how to lose weight. I was exercising, but I wasn't focusing on my nutrition. At the same time, I started following Jordan Syatt. And he preaches a lot the nutrition is the driver of fat loss. And I joined his inner circle. At the same time, I started taking my nutrition cert. I did that first because I'm like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. So at the same time as doing my cert, I was working with him in the inner circle. And I started to lose weight because I started to count calories, weigh and measure my food. And so it all started to click. I'm like, oh my God, okay, I found it. So from there, I then got my personal trainer cert and then got my Mike Boyle cert. Okay. And worked in person in the gym for about 4 to 5 years before I decided to go online.
Okay. Gotcha. And so how does the guy that encouraged you to get into personal training, what's his relationship with your business now?
So my business started growing very quickly.
Yeah.
I joined Jordan Syatt has a mentorship with Mike Bacante right before the pandemic happened in I think it was January
Okay.
of 2020, I decided to join his mentorship because I'm like, I want to do something on my own that I have for myself. My father passed away when I was in high school. So he left my mother and, my brother and sister with like nothing. So we lost our house. We went bankrupt. And I didn't want that to happen to me. My husband's in his 40s, now 50s. And I was like, if something was to happen to him, I want something to fall back on for my kid, not to be left alone and bankrupt. So I decided to join that, not even knowing that this pandemic would happen. The gyms would shut down and I would be literally thrown into actually starting my business way quicker than I thought I would be.
Wow.
So I just dove head in. And I was homeschooling. I was like, starting Beth Feraco Fitness. I started, making TikToks thanks to Jordan Syatt, who was like, do 30 days of TikToks every single day. Right. I haven't stopped.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's a pretty cool story. So Hunter, because he, owns the gym and stuff, and he's done this before. He's, trained coaches, built, systems, and he really like helped build my systems for me. He's now like in charge of sales because I can no longer take my own phone calls, or else I'd be on the phone all the time.
Yeah.
Which I was doing, and it was really bogging me down from actually working with people, being on the phone all day. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to help my clients. So he's doing the sales. He's taking care of like, we're changing from everything was like Google, like, Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Forms. And I've outgrown the Google. So we are now in, PT distinction. So he's helping me set that up. And I'm now, helping him with PDFs and resources for clients, which is really cool. So now I actually have more to offer just by having that system there. And I have now a few coaches that are working for me or with me. I no longer am taking one-on-one coaching clients because now I have to work on my business instead of in my business, which is a really crazy transition from coach to boss. So I'm kind of in this weird phase.
I totally understand that. Yeah, you got to step back from the day to day and actually do the strategic work, which is
it
feels weird.
So it does feel weird, and I want to help as many people as possible and grow my business. So it's just the route that I'm taking, and I'm liking it actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a big strength training proponent. So what's your routine like these days? Is it barbell training or is it something else?
Yeah, I'm do 4 days a week, upper lower body splits.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what I love, supersets and things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. You talk a lot about this transition that you made from kind of being a little bit closeted in terms of your personality and willingness to express yourself, and then all of a sudden, I think just the light bulb going on and you liking yourself more and just being more honest and open with people, swearing on your videos and everything and being genuine about the content, which I love.
Yeah.
So when did you make that switch mentally or even openly with people?
I think it's just the more you make videos, I've realized that I want to be me. Like nothing I record or anything is like, it's all me. Like I don't pre-plan any of my content. It usually comes from comments or something that's happened with like a client. And it always comes down like, I love Gary Vee, right? And he's always like, be yourself.
Yes.
Like just turn the camera on and talk. And that I saw one of his videos. It was like before my first viral video. And he's like, just turn the camera on and just say whatever you want to say, be you. And I legit was like, did that. I went, blah, blah, blah. And then from then on, like, I think that was my first viral video. It was like, I gained maybe 30,000 followers from that. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be me. Like, this is who I am. And it feels good when you do that. So it's like authentic, and I'm not here to lie to people or bullshit anyone. I like speaking to people on the platform as if they're like 9, right? Because so many people get so confused. And I don't need to get into the nitty-gritty scientific stuff because people don't understand that, and they just want to know how to get to their goal.
Right.
In the simplest way possible in a world where everyone complicates the living shit out of everything.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, even with it's interesting. You mentioned calorie counting and that kind of thing earlier. I mean, even with that stuff, people get super granular about
Yes.
macros
Yeah.
and all that stuff, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. What's your advice for somebody starting out who's seeing all these people doing the calorie counting stuff and the macro
Mhm.
stuff and so involved? Like that can be super discouraging. So, what's your advice for
Yeah.
them?
I think just to really be aware and go maybe download my fitness pal and just start tracking just to get used to the app. Like don't
Mhm.
even give yourself a number, and just by tracking you kind of become more aware of like, oh, okay, that like you're like that has this and this has more calories, and really your awareness is starting, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, that meal was like 1,000 calories. I didn't realize I was eating that much. Most people just don't know how much they're eating. It's very easy to underestimate. I mean, even myself. So I think just starting to track and become aware,
Yeah.
because a lot of people get overwhelmed with the app and then they quit. It's like, no, everything is hard before it's easy. You're learning this. So you have to be willing to learn, put in the effort, and then it's going to be, very easy.
Yeah.
So that would be my suggestion, just to start tracking and then go find your estimated calorie deficit, or maybe just figure out like where you are in maintenance, or if you're in a surplus, just by tracking your calories without a number in mind.
Right. One of the things that I was really impressed with is you mentioned that your scale weighed from 5 weeks on vacation, which
Mm-hmm.
it only changed by 2 pounds, which for most people is just incredibly wild. So, and you're on the intuitive eating train now more
Yeah.
so with. So,
Mm-hmm.
how do you make the transition from? Because a lot of people want to start with the intuitive eating, and my mindset has always been like you need to have some sort of base. But do
Yeah.
you recommend people go straight into that?
Intuitive eating is not really for weight loss, right?
Okay.
So, like, I've been tracking on and off for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
So I know like what a serving of protein is for me. I know, how many, I can still overestimate, right? I mean, because I'm not like weighing and measuring things, but I kind of know, I have an idea.
Mhm.
And this is ultimately where you want to be, because tracking should not be forever.
Yeah.
And even for me, it was still hard to get away from it. And, I'm a human. I like control. I
Hmm.
want to be able to be like, okay, there's this, and I like it. I'm not like obsessed with it. I just feel like it keeps me on track. So this was kind of a test for me as well, just to get
Oh,
away from all the tracking, all the weighing and measuring, not even measuring or weighing myself on the scale, which I'm a scale wearer. I like to look at the data, right? I'll
yeah.
step up to see and make sure that I'm in maintenance
Yeah.
and I'm not like going up. Um, so to come back and only have 2 pounds on the scale was like, oh shit, I really did a good job at this. I kept up with my 4 strength training days a week because I was gone for 5 weeks. And it's not like your typical vacation where you're gone for a couple of weeks. I wouldn't have joined a gym in
Yeah.
that case. So I was still strength training and getting about 14,000 steps a day.
Nice.
And I ate out every single night, probably maybe 2 or 3 times we ate in, on a night, but I would have like breakfast and lunch in the Airbnb, and we would go out all the time. Ice cream at least 3 to 4 days a week, Mexican food, pizza, I ate it all. But I also took my food half to go. I'd make sure I get my protein and veggies and still enjoyed myself.
Yeah. Yeah. For those who have, you mentioned the mental aspect earlier. For those who have issues and kind of how do I describe PTSD around the scale and
Mhm,
how much they're tracking? Like I know there's certain people have OCD around that, and it's actually
mhm.
harmful. How do you get away from hyper obsessing about the amount of calories in out and that causing more problems for you on the nutrition side? Like, is there a way to right out of the gate not even focus so much on the calorie counting aspect? Or
Yeah, I don't all my clients don't track calories. Like I have a few that do like a 3 plate, 2 snack rule.
okay,
And I send them, made in Google Sheets. This is before PT distinction, that they'll have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and their 2 snacks, and they can write everything down that they're
nice.
eating. So then they're aware, right? And so 3 plates, 2 snacks, make sure you're getting a quarter of protein on your plate, half veggies, and the rest carbs and fats.
Right.
Your snack should be a protein, fruit, or veggie. And then I just say beware of like high calorie drinks, sauces, and dressings. And it's worked really well, actually, for some people. Yeah, because some people just get fixated on the tracking so much that it becomes obsessive and, disordered. And then the scale. But I like for people to face the scale, because nothing changed until it's faced, right? We have to realize that we need to take the emotion out of it, and we need to learn that it is just a piece of data. So I will take away the scale if I notice people really like losing it. I'm like, okay, for 30 days, we're not going to weigh. Right. Because we're not going to do this once a week weigh-in thing. It's not, either you're not going to weigh at all, or you're going to weigh every single day and look at the overall trend over time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's totally fair. Oh shoot, I had a question on that on the, I just lost it. I'll think about it in just a second. This is one question I meant to ask as a follow-up to being your authentic self earlier. How in the world are you dealing? There are a lot of people, especially on TikTok, not so much Instagram, although there are there, who just love to crap all over you, other content creators, without really having much evidence behind it. I know one of your methods is to literally directly respond and kind of call them out, but that you, again, go back to that mental aspect, like there's a lot of peer pressure related to nutrition. So how do you address haters real life, as opposed to haters online, but like haters real life who are trying to work at odds for whatever reason, because they're jealous or whatever it is, and work against your nutrition goals?
So I mean, how do I deal with I like the haters, as in like the comments?
Sorry, my question is more, I'll address that here in a second, but more for somebody who's in their nutrition journey and they've got friends or family or relatives who are going, well, why are you doing that? Well, you should, I think you've done some videos about this. Like, you should drink, or you should let off. Like, it's really not that bad. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, they have to have conversations like, okay, this is none of your business. Can you please like stop talking about a lot of people are diet pushers.
Yeah.
This worked for me. Why are you doing that? Why are you eating that? That has too much sugar.
Yeah.
You really have to have that conversation. It's like, you know what? I really don't think we should be discussing this right now. So, and if someone doesn't respect your, opinion or thoughts of leaving them alone about it, then they have no business being a part of your life. Or, I mean, it's a tough conversation to have, but sometimes, you'd be like, I just am not going to do this with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how on the social media side, which I think is even more fun, how do you personally, other than are there certain comments that is just not worth responding to, or do you try to call people out as much as you can?
I usually pick and choose the ones, because there's quite a lot on TikTok, to be honest. But I get more now than ever. I think I get more positive than negative. And so the negative ones really, like, when they show, I'm like, all right, let's, and I used to really let the negative comments get to me to the point where it's very like anxiety driven. Especially when I was first on the app, I was like, wow, this is intense, man. You start to take it personal.
Oh yeah.
But now I've been doing it so long that I just brush it off and realize that it's not about me, it's about them. And there are legit trolls that they follow you, but all they do is make negative comments in your videos, which I'm like, I notice a pattern with some of these. I'm like, what is this person doing? They legit, like, why are you following me? I'll block them. I have a big block finger now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Block. It's like, okay, block. I don't care. Block. Or my new favorite thing is to pin a negative comment, like a really crazy comment, and let everyone just fucking rail on them. That is my new favorite thing to do.
It's so effective, especially if you have a really good community that's like all behind you. It's so good to just watch.
It's fun to watch. Like, I'll just let my followers take care of this guy. To be doing things, because we're an all or nothing society. It's like, either I'm all in or I'm not doing it all. There's no middle ground, right? So, and especially people think that they have to, a client will come to me and be like, I want to work out 5 days a week. It's like, no.
Ooh, yeah.
We're not doing that. No. How many times have you been working out now? Right? Like, at zero. It's like,
Yeah.
we're not going to go from 0 to 5 times a week. And, we'll start out with 2, because if you can't be consistent with 2, then you're not going to be consistent with 5.
Right.
So then we'll build off that. We start off small. Some people even start out with walking their first month if they've never been to the gym. So they'll, let's get some steps in first, and, dial in a little bit of your nutrition. And then the next month, we're going to add some strength training. Because if you can't even be consistent with getting 7,000 steps in a day, then we're not going to move into other things. So we start being consistent with one thing, and then we'll add something else.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And then one thing topically that I wanted to address was specifically on the nutrition side. Are there any, when somebody's going through and trying to figure out, okay, I've got the mental aspect under control now, I'm eating a little bit more healthy. Are there any foods, and you've talked a lot about this, are there any foods that are actually bad? Like legitimately you would just have, I don't know, a couple of things that you should always stay away from under any circumstances, or is it kind of just discretionary?
No, I never have anyone stay away from anything unless like they're allergic to it, they can't have it for medical reasons, or they don't like it. Those are my rules for them.
Yeah.
But I have to say that if someone has a trigger food that they absolutely cannot stop eating, then I'll say, let's not have that right now.
Okay.
And then reintroduce that later. Because for me, chips, I love chips. I get myself in a bag of chips and I can't stop. And some people are like that with certain things. It's okay. No food is good or bad. Great. But we need to learn how to have moderation. And that also comes with getting your mind set with stress and emotional eating and things like that, right? At the same time.
Right. You mentioned on that same topic, you mentioned being a recovering alcoholic, and in a couple of your videos, I know you've said, alcohol is poison. I've actually heard that exact same comment from, of all people, my doctor. And I like, is it actually poisonous? Like what's its work on your body? And is there any place for, they've done studies about this, I'm sure they're overblown by the media, but like red wine being a good thing for you from the oxidation perspective. I can't remember what it was, but is there any room for that, or is it really like?
I mean, the more studies that are coming out, that even like a glass of wine, like your risk of like breast cancer and things like that, and like studies are coming out. That's also alcohol. What do you want to call it? The alcohol companies, making these. I can't come up with a word, but it's them selling it, that's their thing. It's like, oh, it's healthy for you, but the thing is, the more, even though I'm a recovering alcoholic, I don't like to bring my shit into everyone else's, but the more I work with people, the more I work with women in their 40s and 50s, the more I realize that we have an alcohol problem, because a lot of women use that and don't know how to get away from it. And then they're blaming like hormones, but it's really the drinking. If you can't see yourself not having a glass or two of wine a night every single night, or you don't want to, start limiting your alcohol on the weekend, there's something going on there.
Yeah.
So a lot of people look at it as a reason to de-stress. Meanwhile, alcohol is like pouring gasoline on your anxiety. It makes it a million times worse.
Yeah.
And it is a poison. And I mean, if you have too much of it, your body rejects it, right? You throw up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's just all around. I think people use it as a crutch way too much.
You see it mostly as a stress reliever for a lot of people. Is that the majority?
It's supposed to be a stress reliever, but I feel like they're still always stressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can totally relate. I was that person. I used alcohol thinking it was going to de-stress me. It made everything worse.
Yeah.
My sleep, it's like a trickle effect. Your sleep sucks. People are like, I get the best sleep. Like, you're passed out. You're not you're not in REM sleep here. You're fucking passed out. There's a difference. So it's like, and then you're waking up tired, you're hungover, you don't make it to the gym. Right. You're more hungry the next day. It's just, I just, in a positive light, if you're trying to get healthy, it just really doesn't have a huge part of that to me.
So zooming back out a little bit to kind of the 50,000 foot view of your view on nutrition. How is, when somebody's coming to you, what is the message that you want them to hear kind of loud and clear? Like, how does your view on nutrition vary significantly from, say, is there a traditional view on nutrition? I'm not sure what that would
I
be.
think some people are like, you should only be eating this. And, like people try to make it more difficult than it is because, there's obviously, I'd rather someone start to incorporate more fruits and veggies and eat like a minimally processed diet, right?
Yeah.
In a perfect world, that's going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
So it's really about building a lifestyle that you can stick to, which I am a huge component of, being able to have those fun foods, but really eating foods that make you feel good, that have, micronutrients in them, that are nutrient dense, and, not, you can have a donut, but you don't need 5.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the good and bad that so many are fixated on, is that they'll have 5 donuts and then they're like, I was so bad, I'm not going to have any more of those. So then they don't eat them. And so it's like restriction usually ends up leading, then once they have it, they can't stop eating it. And then that cycle continues. So when they actually, and also getting enough protein, I don't really understand, like people don't get enough protein. It balances your blood sugar, it keeps you full. It actually, takes away those sugar cravings in the afternoon if you're getting enough throughout the day. Balancing your meals. I think people don't have a balanced meal. Like they'll have cereal for breakfast with nothing else, and then they're hungry 2 hours later. Like, that's nothing wrong with the cereal. You just need to pair it. You need to have some protein and some fat with that.
Right.
So you can be full and you don't need to, keep eating.
Yeah. I remember being on the paleo diet when I was doing CrossFit, and probably a terrible idea in retrospect, but that was one of the things, was like, it was so heavy in protein that you couldn't eat more, and it was a calorie deficit just by default.
Right.
On that topic, you're going to love this question. Thoughts on the carnivore diet?
Oh, horrific.
Tell me more and tell me why.
I mean, there's no fiber. I mean, you need fiber, right? We need to poop. And you're losing, the micronutrients you're not getting. I just think it's horrible. Not a fan.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. I know a few people that are into that right now. It just
doesn't. Yeah. Do you think it's, so the argument that's made, I'll just advocate for the carnivore thing just for a minute, but the argument that's made by people on that side of the aisle is like, especially on the fattier cuts, supposedly there are more nutrients. And is there any benefit to, it's almost like an elimination diet in my mind. Like, I don't know that you would, my concern is always, fatty liver long-term, or a number of other health things.
Like heart disease and,
can you get enough from just meat sources in your opinion? Or, I mean, you mentioned fiber, obviously it's going to be exempt, but
I just, I'd have to look into it more. I just don't really think so.
Yeah.
To be honest. I know Lane Norton just did a video on that.
Oh, really?
That I have to watch. He made a TikTok, I believe, about the effects of carnivore and why he's not, if he had a choice between doing carnivore and plant-based, that he would not do carnivore. He would do plant-based diet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then on the other extreme, so like you just mentioned, like, is there any benefit on, full veganism, or do you still need to incorporate kind of more holistic view into the nutrition?
I mean, I think if someone's doing vegan, it's usually for, other reasons. Maybe it's because, animal rights and things like that.
Right.
But, you can get adequate protein. There's ways to do it, I think, being vegan. Like, it's about, like, Lane Norton just did that video. You'll have to watch it.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, you can supplement with vegan protein. And,
right. Right.
So beans, edamame, tofu. Seitan.
Exactly. And are there any recent diet trends that you're kind of on your high horse about, stuff that's been coming up that's a new fad that people may not know about?
I keep hearing about this bright line eating. Have you heard of it?
Ooh, no, I have not. Tell me more.
No, I'm supposed to look into it, but
okay.
If I can just like Google it right now.
Yeah,
but I keep hearing about it.
You said
but it's,
bright
I think
line,
it's
like BR?
Bright line
okay.
eating. And I think that it's giving up a bunch of stuff. like sugar. Let's see, bright line eating. I wish you can give me like an overview.
There's like a new
What
one
is
every 6 months.
Okay, it's a says that claims to heal food addiction through strict adherence to a highly restrictive eating plan. And immediately no.
What?
Immediately no. Yeah.
It's like those phrases are in direct contradiction to each other.
Right. Strict adherence to a highly restrictive eating plan. I don't understand that. I want to look into that more, but everyone's asking me, have you heard of bright line eating?
Yeah.
And I just want to let people know that stop looking for these things. Like if it has a name to it, it's bullshit. Like it really is bullshit. Like, Optavia, Noom, like you don't have to do these diets with a name. Like I don't go around saying I'm doing the U diet. You should be doing the U diet. Right. But when people are doing a specific diet, it's like their fucking whole existence. Like I'm on keto right now. Like you're a keto. Like I'm keto.
Good for you.
Yeah. Have fun.
Exactly.
But these diets, they really do a number on people's mental health. I like people like really recovering from these diets, afraid of eating a banana or haven't had a potato in like 2 years.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty sad,
Well, you mentioned Noom. So my impression of Noom was always, and that's probably because of the way they pitch it. Like we're helping you to, I don't know, just think differently about eating and helping you to be more. I think the term now is like mindful about. Is it actually? You mentioned a couple of times. It's actually a diet. Like what?
Yeah, I've heard it's super restrictive. I know some coaches, I think Matt may have like secretly like got a membership and like looked into it, but usually like the calories are always like under 1,200 calories without really knowing.
What?
It's very restrictive.
Holy cow. So they're not, so are they then asking you to count calories or are they more doing kind of like what you mentioned earlier, but you're still under 1,200? Like, so they're just plating you a certain way.
Yeah, I don't think that you really know that you're eating it, but you are.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, that's something that I also have to look into that more, but I keep hearing horrible things about that as well. And it's it's expensive.
How much is it?
Or is Optavia the one that's like 400 a month? I think Optavia.
Oh yeah, no, that's yeah.
Okay, yeah.
By the way, what is Optavia? Is that another MLM?
I think they give you like legit like meals sent to your house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're
and that's also very, very restrictive.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, is that there's plans like that, and then there's like the prepackaged stuff. It all ends up being way more than you could get at the grocery store. But have you seen anybody had success from like prepackaged meal planning like that at all?
I think if you're doing it like there's great meal planning companies. If you live in a good area for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I've seen some success. You can get good meals that are like 300 or 400 calories like in a package. But I think also like how long are you going to do that for?
Yeah.
That's the thing, you have to learn how to build your meals. You don't want to eat the packaged meals that someone is making you forever.
Right.
So to me, that doesn't really teach you anything.
Yep. On that same topic, because I know personally, and also my wife has struggled with this in the past, and I know other people have too. Do you recommend people from a planning perspective cook do you cook all of your meals in advance and then just eat them throughout the week?
I'm more of a, how do you say it, like a batch food cooker.
Okay.
Right. I don't sit there and portion out my meals because that takes a lot of time, and I don't want to eat the same thing every day. So what I'll do is like make a batch, let's say salsa chicken in the crock pot. So you shred it, right? I could put that on top of salads. I can make tacos. I could put it on top of rice. So there's my protein source for all these different kinds of meals. So then I'll make sure I have like some rice in the fridge. So you can pre-cook like a batch of rice. Pre-cook your chicken. Make sure you have veggies cut in the fridge. I always like cut veggies that don't go soggy, like cucumbers, English cucumbers. It can't be the regular ones. Peppers, carrots, celery, and I'll put it in like a big Tupperware. So therefore, I'll put that on top of my salad, put my chicken, and then I'll cut up a bunch of fruit like berries. I put blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries in a big Tupperware. So I have all that stuff ready, but it's not separated, so I can have different meals.
Nice. That is,
Yeah.
I like that a lot better. It sounds a lot easier too, especially if you just got it all
Yeah.
made up and can just kind of throw it together.
Yeah. Because by Friday, you're like, "Ugh, I don't want to eat this freaking meal again. Like, who wants to
Right.
have like the same thing every day?"
Yeah, and that was the problem we were running into is like if you cook it for the beginning of the week and you just eat it all week, by day 5 or 6, you're just like, I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's, a lot of the reason why people go overboard on the weekends, because they've,
Yes.
they've planned for the week, but when the weekends come, they haven't planned for that.
Yes. One of the biggest things, my wife is actually currently doing this, is she actually is on Friday, like she's sitting down and going, what are we doing this weekend? Because that's more when she would binge or I would binge. And then how am I
Yeah.
going to plan to allow myself to still treat myself, but also like enjoy the food and eat healthy. So
Mhm.
yeah. Is there any, have you ever done that with clients? Like planning I know it's really hard with some people's schedules because they're all over the place. Salespeople are a good example of that, but
Mhm.
are there any things you can do to plan out your week in advance, especially if it's so unpredictable?
Yeah. I would, act like what you just said is a
Yeah.
great idea. Like sit down and map out like what you're doing this weekend, even if you're busy, right? Make sure you have stuff to take to go with you, like whether it be protein bars, string cheese, beef jerky. You can pre-make meals and take around with you if you really want to, right? And also, if you know where you're going to eat out, go look at the menu beforehand and kind of plan what you're going to have. And also, a good one is making sure that you have like a really good breakfast to start out your day. So
Okay.
you have a high protein breakfast, so that will set you up for the entire day. Plan your movement for the weekend. Like if plan a hike, plan a walk, plan.
Plan it out as much as you can.
Yeah.
On the restaurant topic. So why is it that when people like myself eat at a restaurant versus eating at home, they feel more bloated and maybe the scale goes up? Like what is it about restaurant food? Like what the heck are they putting in that's
I
so
think
different?
probably maybe that they're adding more salt than you normally would at a home cooked meal.
Oh, interesting.
You're probably maybe even eating more carbohydrates than you would at home, which will also, make the scale go up.
Okay.
Yeah. When you're cooking at home, you know what's going in it. And a lot of restaurants will cook their steaks and all their stuff in oil and butter. So you kind of have to be like, can you make sure that you don't cook that in oil? Because that stuff makes it taste better.
Yeah. No, it definitely, yeah, it tastes better than home good cooking. There's a reason for that. I wanted to I think training is I'll say, at least in my opinion, it's not as important as nutrition. I think you probably agree, like nutrition is probably 80% of the game, but I do want to talk about strength training because you're a big proponent of that. Do you recommend when people are getting into this that they do eventually go down the strength training route with bars and with weights?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why was that?
Because you want to progressively overload, right? So, if you're new to training, obviously you're going to start out with body weight, you're going to perfect your form, and then you're going to go up from there. You're going to go use dumbbells. And then once you get better with all that stuff, I think it's super important to like graduate, go into like start using just the barbell, get used to like how it feels, not even adding weight to it, and then progress from there. And then once they go to the barbell, they get the feel. They're like, it's like that. Oh, this is fun, right? At least that's how I felt.
Sure.
Like then you don't want to stop using it.
Yeah.
And it's, getting stronger is really, it feels good. It makes you, want to keep going to the gym. I think people should focus on getting strong rather than focus on getting skinny, because it kind of, strength training is where you're going to see your body change.
Yeah.
So I feel people, they want to just do the nutrition in the beginning, and it's good to start doing that, of course. Not, if you don't want to do everything at once, but it's a combination of the both.
But Beth, I don't want to get bulky. I don't.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to look
You
like
know what?
a
You know how fucking hard it is to get bulky? I wish people knew how hard it was. it's like those people that are that big, they have worked for that, and they are legitimately, it's work. They've done it for years.
Yeah. That's like 20 in a lot of people's cases, especially if you're doing it naturally, it's like 20, 30. The other thing I think people don't realize, and the folks on the cover of Health magazine are on steroids. They're the women that are on the covers, the men that are on the covers, that is not a natural look, and they will never be something that somebody could get naturally. So I think that's been super deceiving and also disappointing.
Yeah, we also have to stop comparing or trying to be someone that's on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. With the cement butt implants.
Very unrealistic.
Yeah, the amount of plastic surgery that goes into those images is quite astonishing.
I've seen some and I was like, that's definitely a BBL. There's no way that's real. There's no way. No fucking way. I mean,
it's crazy.
Wow. Or they're using, those, I've seen that the butt pads. I don't know if you saw that video a long time ago, that girl that was doing, you didn't see that?
No, I don't think so.
She put butt pads to make her butt, and they showed a whole video about it. And then she was like working out. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've heard of like plastic cement injections in your rear end. The amount of butt photos on the internet is interesting. But yeah, like, and more people need to talk about that, because like, I feel like you can still be a fitness influencer as long as you're disclosing certain things, like I had plastic surgery here, or I, take steroids there, like at least being upfront about it. But I don't know. That's why I appreciate people like yourself, because, it's like, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm not doing. So.
Right. Yeah. And it's, and like the what I eat in a day videos, when people are like flashing their body, it just drives me nuts. It's like, why do you have to be like, oh, look at me, and then here's what I eat? It's like, no one is going to look like you, and why do you have to do that? Who fucking cares what you look like? Like, you will never see me do that.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, it's just not healthy. Well, and like you said, mental health aspect, then you start comparing yourself to all these people, and you've got this ideal standard that you can never attain, either maybe not even naturally, and it just kills the drive.
Comparison is a huge thing. I notice that with my clients too. They'll get upset because someone else is losing more weight than them, and I'm like, well, what are they doing? Do you know? Like, you're doing it the right way. Like, you have to understand that the scale's huge for so many people, and they let it get to them way too much.
Sure. What is the role of metabolism in most people's diets? I feel like it's so overblown, and yet people talk about it all the freaking time.
I have a slow metabolism. It's like, okay. How the fuck do you know that?
Yeah.
Did you take some form of a fucking test? Did you blow in a whatever you want to call it? And, get it tested? It's overblown. It's because everyone, like influencers, talk about that stuff that makes no fucking sense. And so then people get confused.
Yeah.
But, you can, raise your metabolism by raising your NEAT, right? Walking, strength training, protein, simple things.
Yep.
Not starving yourself.
That's always a good one.
Yeah.
Is there, so, I mean, and how many, just statistically speaking, I mean, how many people have you met that actually have quote unquote slow metabolisms or thyroid issues that would actually prevent them from losing or gaining?
I've actually not have had many.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't think it would be that many anyway.
There really isn't. And another thing I think that gets really blown out in social media is the thyroid, hypothyroidism, PCOS.
Yeah.
A lot of people let that define them.
Okay.
And let, their diagnosis take over, or should I say, so, blame everything on their diagnosis, right? Which, it's valid. I get it. It may not be easy, but it is the same as anybody else. If you're taking medication to regulate your thyroid and it's regulated, you lose weight just like everyone else.
Yeah.
It's just the consistency thing. So it's easy to fall back and be like, my thyroid it's because I have a thyroid problem. But meanwhile, it's because you're not consistent.
Yeah. I think that's the truth. Probably people just don't want to
Yeah, they don't want to hear it. And, or people blame their lack of results on undiagnosed condition. I was one of those people. I'd be like, it's my hormones. That's why I'm not losing weight. This was like when I was 42. Meanwhile, I'm drinking a bottle of wine a night, right? And so I actually did get them tested. Turns out my thyroid was fine. So I was like, okay, it really is me. I can't have anything. I have nothing to blame it on now. So.
Oh man. Oh, I just in a similar vein, I just saw a video by who was it? Oh, do you follow Renaissance periodization at all?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
RP, yep.
So he was talking about body types. So endomorph, ectomorph, whatever the heck the other one is.
Mike Israel?
Yes. Yep. What did you think about that? Like, is there any validity to those? I know the stereotypes and generalizations, but how does that affect? How does that affect people?
I don't think it does. No, I don't think it does. And that's another thing that V-Shred plays on, right?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. The ectomorph, endomorph.
I love that V-Shred. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's all calorie deficit.
Okay, gotcha. So it doesn't matter your body type, honestly. It just matters that you're doing something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Let's see. So if people wanted to, by the way, so you said, are you still doing, you're not doing in-person stuff. Are you still doing online coaching, or are you literally just stepping back and not doing it? Okay,
everything's online. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So if people wanted to get coached by you, or maybe even by somebody on your team, where would they go to find that?
You can go to bethferacofitness.com and just fill out an application and book a phone call and go from there.
Okay. Awesome. And then where can people find you on social?
Beth Feraco Fitness on Instagram and Beth Feraco Fitness on TikTok, and also Cut the Crap with Beth and Matt podcast is on Spotify and iTunes and Amazon and Google.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How's that been going, by the way?
Super fun. I love it. Actually, Matt is going to be here in Maine.
Oh, no.
In 10 days, we're going to hang out and we're going to do some podcasts. We're going to do some TikToks. We're going to do some photo shoots for the podcast.
Nice.
So it's going to be fun. I'm excited. This is the first time we're going to be meeting in person.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you guys?
We met on TikTok.
No way.
I call him my TikTok husband. We started TikTok around the same time, and we were getting tagged in all the same videos. And we just, started talking, and everyone just kept saying they liked our stuff, that were a lot of likes. So we're like, do you want to start a podcast? And we're like, let's do it. So then now been doing it for probably 6 months now, I think.
Very cool. And you guys are focused just on the nutrition side with the podcast, or do you cover?
We talk about everything, that mental health, nutrition, strength training, just, all kinds of stuff to do with, health and wellness.
Sure. Awesome.
No bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Last question for you before I let you go. From again, the perspective of somebody who's just getting into this and trying to understand their body, their needs, their nutrition, their lifestyle. Would you say it's more important to address the mental aspects of their health and nutrition first before going into the actual physical nutrition, or can you address the nutrition and the mental health aspect will come later?
I think it can be done in a combination.
It can. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I kind of do that. Like there's mindset work with my end of the week check-ins. It's all like morphed in together. Like they don't even know they're getting mindset work, but they are, kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. It's like motivation, a lot of motivational interviewing, if you're familiar with that.
Oh, a little bit. I know Barbell Medicine's talked about that a little bit. I'm not as familiar with like the clinical side, but what does that look like for you then?
It's asking a lot of questions and having them come up with kind of, figuring it out on their own. So it's like our job to show them where to look, but not tell them what to see.
Interesting. Okay. Gotcha.
There's a really good, motivational interviewing is a book. It's a hard read, but I recommend Carol Dweck, Mindset by Carol Dweck. Okay. Really good book. Yeah.
Check that out. Awesome. I like it.
Yeah.
I like the approach. Well, Beth, I really appreciate you coming on. This was really valuable. I hope people listening actually have some actionable items to take away from that. A lot of the stuff we talked about, I think people can just take into their training and nutrition lifestyles. So yeah, and follow Beth on social, please. Like, her content is absolute money. So please,
Thanks.
please,
Appreciate it.
follow her and get some coaching while you're at it. So Beth, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Please give Freedom Cast a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean a lot to our business. Plus, it's fun to read y'all's reviews. See you next time.